the Know Your Gear podcast. The Know Your Gear podcast is brought to you by Patreon members, channel members, and viewers who like and subscribe. Thank you for making this possible.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Know Your Gear podcast, episode 421. I hope everybody had a fantastic week and is ready for some guitar fun. I guess it's gonna be guitar fun. I know it. We have, let me get into a couple things. We have some announcements to make that I'm excited about. In fact, one particular one I'm excited about. And of course, great subjects and questions by you guys. The first announcement is I want to thank everyone who's subscribed to the second channel. There's a link down below. The second channel has been hitting over 300,000 views per month. That is a huge, shocking, milestone. Great. And it's about to hit 23,000 subscribers. If you don't know about the second channel, well, the second channel is where we put a lot of like the bonus type of content. So not only is there like pod clips, but sometimes a little bit more detailed clip of the podcast. But like yesterday's video was a detailed video of all of the tools I think you should own, complete with timestamps and everything. So you could actually go and watch the whole thing, or just go to the timestamps. And the thing that I want to say that I'm most proud of is yesterday's tool video is the most engaged video we've had on that channel, with a massive amount of you making it to the entire end, which is very, very cool. It's just cool as hell. That's what that is. So check out the second channel if you haven't checked out the second channel. And then I need to actually do this, because even I don't even know. Do I have the link? I do. There's an announcement that I'm supposed to make, but I'm looking for my link. And I don't have it. I don't have the link. So we'll probably push that out because I don't have the link. I was looking for the alt color link. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make sure I update the alt color link, and we have new merch. And when I say new merch, more importantly, we just have some new logos. So we've put some new logos out per request. These are people's requests. So they requested some Know Your Gear logos that weren't necessarily just like a Strat style guitar. So we have a Les Paul style guitar and a Tele style guitar. So we updated that with some new colors, not the colors of clothing, but the colors of the logo itself. And I'll try and put the alt color logo or thing when I timestamp it. Okay. Cool. Brian's got it. So let me hit it and then share with you. Look at that. So we go to the web. Thank you, Brian. And, there you go. So here it is. You have your single cut Les Paul in the red. So they decided we did the single cut in red, and we did the T-style in what looks like gold, but it's essentially butterscotch. Right. Right. So look at that. So new stuff, just new choices. And of course, there's the original OG merch as well. I just want to let you know that that's available now. Let me go back. And so there you go. That's our announcements, besides always just saying thank you to the moderators and the patrons and the channel members and everybody who's here live. So if you're watching live, there's no commercials while it's being posted live. However, that always brings up some problems. So let me tell you the current problem so you don't have to put angry comments in the comment section. First one is there's no ads during the live feed. There is no ads on the audio feeds on Spotify, iTunes, and what have you. And there's no ads, of course, on the Patreon $5 tier or the channel member $5 tier. Other than that, unfortunately, you get ads. And I do not place the ads in. YouTube does. And so for those that get upset that YouTube's putting a lot of ads, my guess is the ad rates they're probably trying to basically, because they can't raise ad rates right now in the market, the current market we're in. So they're probably just throwing down more ads. So you're going to get more ads. That has nothing to do with us on our side. We can't control it. We get the benefit of that, but keep in mind, not really, if that makes any sense. And then the other announcement is because we don't monetize it right away, some of you guys were, I got a couple emails saying that the live show was not closed captioned. We are not disabling the closed captioned. What's happening is we think is because we don't monetize the video, YouTube does right away. In other words, we don't monetize it until after it goes into what do you call it? The rerun mode. We think YouTube's not prioritizing the closed captions YouTube tends to prioritize videos with ads in all kinds of ways, as you can imagine, because there's financial stake for them. So I just want to let you know, we're aware of all these things. There's nothing we can do about any of them. I do check to make sure the closed caption goes up, and what I'm noticing is they're going up about an hour to 2 hours later than they used to when we monetized the channel when it was live, in the live. So I apologize if that creates a problem for anyone. Okay, Grumpy Mike Guitar says, I got my gravy shirt this week. Looks great. A couple of you sent me gravy t-shirts. I appreciate that so much. And I'm pretty excited about that. We have, we've been thinking about doing a pro gravy t-shirt at some point to get the other side. It's like, it's funny because it's like, we definitely looked at the numbers and go, if we would have did the pro gravy shirt, we would have made a lot more money. But I had to stand where I had to stand. All right. Let's get into some early riser questions and subjects. And the first one is from Edgar, who says, hey, Phil, what was the thinking process of your deciding factor that made you keep the Clio PRS guitar, since it seems the price tag may be out of your comfort zone? Well, pretty much all the price tags of all guitars are out of my comfort zone for the most part. Let's just start there. Okay, a couple of things. So it's a good question. And I'll give you the answer. It is about, I'm kind of stuck, and here's why I'm going to tell you I'm stuck. I'm going to give you an honest answer minus a piece of information I just can't disclose. And when I say I can't disclose, it's not for disclosure now. It'll be disclosed in the future. Okay. And it all makes sense when it happens. You won't even have to ask me, is that what you're talking about? You're going to be like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Why? Okay. So what I'm saying is there's one reason I can't tell you why I did it yet. That's really important in the future, but I can give you enough of the other reasons to make sense. So when I did the video of the guitar, I got to tell you, a lot of people you go on YouTube or you do any kind of job, I don't care what you do, and you do a job and you're, what do you call it? On the job training. YouTube is on the job training, right? It's not like I took a YouTube 101 course and I go, this is how you make a video. This is how you upload it. This is how you make money. This is how you do that, right? I basically Mr. Magoo'd this all the way through until I kind of figured it out, each one trial and error. So like I said, every horrible mistake you can make on YouTube, I've made it. If you guys want to know what those are, I'll share them with you. Some of you have seen them, some of you haven't. My point is that one of the things that happened on YouTube that kind of changed me as a guitar player, as a person, was the Silver Sky launch. So when PRS, everybody now has a different attitude, but let me just tell you, when the Silver Sky came out, what happened was Gina at PRS reached out to me and said, hey, we're going to be launching a guitar with John Mayer. Now, at that time, all I knew was John Mayer came out with a $6,000 amp. I was there for the launch of the amp. I got to see John Mayer talk. In fact, that's how I met Mary Spender. We were both interviewing that day, people. And then they did, the John Mayer guitar for the Grateful Dead. So they go, hey, we're going to release this guitar. And so, it's the only time PRS ever sent me like a core guitar, like an expensive one, and said, hey, and by the way, you could keep it after the video. So I got my Silver Sky core sent to me, and I was so excited as a content creator. I'm like, wow, I'm getting to keep this amazing guitar, and I'm going to make this amazing video, and it's going to just be the belle of the ball, right? And I got the guitar and I made the video and I put it out, and I got beat to shit by the internet. And excuse me when I curse, but I mean, I don't want to underplay this. Like everyone, God, the comments just would not stop. This is just a strat. 2 years to develop this. What are they? Who are they kidding? This is horrible. It was the most, and to this day, I've never seen a guitar more hated than the Silver Sky guitar. This really kind of sticks to the story. Trust me. There's more. I wish there wasn't. So, I did the video, and I'm looking at the comments, and I thought the comments were going to be like, Phil, great video, way to go through, the guitar. And no, instead it was like, Phil, you're a shill for PRS. You're not admitting the truth, which is just garbage. And I'm like, how could you say it's garbage? You didn't even try one. No one's tried one yet, just me, right? So I was just like, okay, everybody hates it. And then because we do the Friday show, for weeks, you could go back to those episodes. Every Friday show was like, Phil, why do you think the Silver Sky sucks? Why do you think the Silver Sky sucks? It was just the most hated guitar I've ever done a video on. To this date, nothing's ever beat it. And then fast forward a little bit further, not much. Marty Schwartz from the Marty Schwartz channel. If you don't know his channel, well, then you haven't been on the internet yet. But huge channel, 3 million subscribers, twice over. Keep in mind, he got 2 million the first time, then had to restart his channel, got 3 million the second time. Anyways, Marty out of nowhere reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to come to San Diego and do some content with me? And I'm like, absolutely, let's go do some content. So I went down there, and if you haven't seen the videos, they're on his channel. They're amazing videos. We did a video like, what would a guitar teacher and a guitar tech pick as a first guitar for a student? We did that video together. We did a bunch of other videos together. He's the big time, so you gotta understand, like they rented a studio for us. We went in and filmed in the studio. We did on location stuff. It was like legit YouTuberness, right? Instead of just in a closet or in a basement somewhere making a video in a corner. And I was like, wow, this is great. And in the middle of this, who I was like, wow, Marty's so great, and his I want to say his team, but his Michael and the guys were great. Everybody's great. Marty goes, hey, so American Music Supply is giving away a Silver Sky, and I got to do a video. And hey, since you know so much about it, would you do this video with me and talk about the Silver Sky? And I go, Marty, dude, it's just gonna be nothing but people telling you how horrible the guitar is. It's just a horrible guitar. And but he's Marty Schwartz, and I'm not going to say no because he's a great guy. So I go in the video. You can find that video to this day too. And I sit with him, and we talk about the Silver Sky, and we get through the video, and he's like, thank you for doing that. And he's like talking to me, and he's like, yeah, you okay? And I'm like, you don't understand. Like every time this guitar comes up, like the hate for this guitar is so intense. And then it fast forward a couple months later. Okay. So a couple months later, I go to PRS's factory, and I'm in the factory, and everywhere I go in that factory is just stacks and stacks of Silver Sky guitars, just bodies everywhere. Next, I have the pictures this day. It's insane. It's. I think I've talked about this story before. PRS should change their name to just the John Mayer Company at this point, with that many guitars being made. This is way before the SE, so keep in mind it's before the SE. And I'm looking at this. And then I decided to look at my affiliate links, and I'm like, wow, a lot of people bought a Silver Sky. I was like, oh. And what I learned from that was the things that people hate the most and their strongest opinion on the internet, sometimes it's just the noise of it. People like to hate on stuff, so they're just real vocal about it. And yet the guitar's cool. And fast forward now, and the Silver Sky is one of the top selling guitars, not only with PRS, but in the world, and it does really good. So when I did when they sent the Herman Li, and I like to point out, this is a pre-production guitar. So that doesn't mean prototype. That means this guitar is, I don't know, and I can't tell you, but I got to ask PRS if you guys are curious. I don't know this guitar will actually be in the 200 run. When guitar companies typically do a limited run of something, they usually make some pre-production guitars, some for marketing. If you've seen this gray purple guitar in any ads or any like online in pictures, the one you're seeing is this one, because this is the one the marketing took pictures of and they sent it to me. And when I did the video, I was like, wow, this guitar is really good. And I got to just tell you, I got to tell you the whole story. So I finished the video. And, I get it ready. I launch it. I put the time, because it has an embargo time, so it's out to go out. And the title of the video is like the new signature Herman Li PRS guitar or something like that. And I'm downstairs. I launch it. As you guys know, if you follow the channel, I launch everything as a premiere. So I'm there. If you want to ask me questions, you can type in things in the comment section in real time. I'm there to answer. And I do the premiere. I go downstairs and I'm like, wow, this is cool. I'm really excited about this. but kind of knowing, hey, this could be Silver Sky again. This could be, everybody hates it. And the first 5 comments are, this sucks. I hate this. It's ugly. Who is this for? The price is ridiculous. And I just laughed out loud going, well, I've been around now. I know what happens next. So I changed the title to Why Everybody Hates This Guitar is a reverse troll. I was just trolling everybody back. I was like, okay, fine. If you're all going to hate it, I'm going to just put Why Everybody Hates It. Herman Li got it. He thought it was funny. PRS got it. No one was upset that I titled it that way, but I did it as a reverse troll because I was like, and to me, this guitar being a pre-production model and having that history and the fact that I think it's one of the most unique PRSs I've ever played in my life. And it looks like a work of art and I enjoy playing it. And a second factor that you guys won't know about for months. I decided when it's got to go back, right? So they sent a return label for it. And I asked Sean, and I said, hey, when you, because she reaches out to them saying, hey, we're ready for the label. Usually what happens to the guitar next is it goes to either another YouTube channel or to Guitar World or somewhere for promotion. I said, hey, let them know I would like to buy this one, this exact one. This one's special to me. I don't want another one. Don't tell me, yeah, we'll get you one. And no, I want that one. And then I told her, as you can imagine, I said, they're going to respond with either no or yes. And I go, so you don't have to deal with me on this. I told her as long as it's a discount, obviously keep in mind they sold it to me for, sometimes referred to as accommodation pricing. Sometimes some people refer to it as like a dealer cost kind of thing. They did. They came back and they said, yeah, we'll sell it to you. And of course they did me accommodation pricing. So I did not pay the full retail on that guitar, as you can imagine. And that was obviously a factor in that too. But as your point is, yes, is it out of my yeah, it's this crazy expensive guitar. It's ridiculous. But I have a couple expensive guitars. I do regret most of them. But most of the expensive guitars that I bought, well, like I said, during COVID, weren't special. And I'll tell you this, and this is the last part of this long tirade, which is important, which is I don't really connect to guitars unless 2 things happen. Just a long time of intimate playing. Like if I play a guitar a lot, I become connected to it. Like I just don't want it to go, okay? And if a guitar is unique or special, in other words, unique in the way that it's one of a kind, or it's unique because of a situation that happened, like maybe I went somewhere and I was, or a friend got this for me, so the Herman Li now just has a special connection to it. It's just a unique guitar. If I could change, I'll tell you right now, if I could change something, I will tell you this. If I could have a perfect PRS guitar, like an absolute perfect PRS guitar, it would be the Herman Li guitar without a doubt, with regular pickups, not the Fishman, and not the Floyd, the go-to. Like if they made this guitar with the PRS tremolo and just PRS pickups, I would absolutely probably, I could see where that would be my favorite guitar without a doubt. It's so uniquely good and fun. I like it the way it is now, but I'm not huge on the Godo and I'm not huge on the Fishman. So I don't know. That's it. That's the insight and why. But yeah, it was expensive. And of course I have to let go of a lot of this stuff to justify it. I don't, obviously you guys know the rule is if a guitar comes in, something goes out. And that's not the case in this case. What happens now is something, this comes in, the Herman Li comes in, so a couple guitars go out for sure. There's just no way to justify it any other way. All right, that was a long time on that. Romero wants to talk about that Nuno guitar and the rumors it sparked. Personally, I don't think he's leaving Washburn. Okay, so what's going on? First of all, let me give the shout out to the channel so that I don't mess it up. Let me go in my history and I'll cue you in. So there's 2 stories, two Nuno stories going on. First of all, you guys know I bought an N4 and it's got a defect, a factory defect, which seems like most of them currently, the ones that are out right now, have. Okay, let me pause this. And Oh, that's a good picture. Okay. Usually when you freeze I call it resting dir face, like dir, right? Everybody, when you freeze a video, they're always making the dumbest face. He's not making the dumb face, so I'll show you this. So a channel called Steve Cassidy Guitar. It's a very good channel because, oh, look, let me put it in so you guys see his face. Great channel. Also, coolest glasses on the internet, right? I mean, I love this. This is just great. Anyways, great channel. And he did a video called Has Nuno Left Washburn? I thought Nuno commented on his video. I could be wrong. But I don't know. I thought Nuno commented saying I'm not leaving anywhere, or it's somebody who had a sign on like Nuno. But anyways, so if you haven't figured it out, so they did the farewell tour, farewell show for Black Sabbath, and of course Nuno was just anchored there on stage, kicking butt the whole show. And during the show, he was playing two guitars that I saw. One was looked like a typical N4. The other one was different. It was brown with two like white. Or not white, but maple looking stripes. So in other words, it could have been stained or inlaid. I don't know. But the headstock said Nuno on it, not Washburn. So his theory, his being the channel, Steve's theory was, is it possible that Nuno is leaving Washburn and starting his own brand like a la EVH, Ola England, Zakk Wylde, you name it, right? And there's a ton of people. And of course, a lot of people then connected, or a lot of people from this channel connected, hey, Washburn, by the way, we're 5 weeks. Washburn never sent me a response on the guitar. Hey, I asked Washburn if they could, let me know why the mistake was made, or if it's not a mistake or whatever. And I got silence from them, even though they were talking to me briefly. And so somebody's like, well, maybe that's why Washburn doesn't care, because Nuno's leaving and they don't care. It's possible. Anything's possible. I don't get the vibe of that, but I mean, we could, what do you call it? Let me shift here. We could guess, that's all we can do is guess. And I just don't see it happening. But who knows? At this point, I believe Washburn was down to 2 USA made guitars, which was the Michael Sweet guitar and the Nuno Bittencourt guitar. And I believe they're down to finally just the Nuno guitar. So if you think about this, Washburn only makes one USA-made guitar, and that's the Nuno Bittencourt. And then that's ghost built by another builder, right? So, I mean, it's possible that Washburn's like, yeah, maybe we need to move on and just push acoustics. Why are we doing this? I don't know. So, I just don't know the whole situation because I don't know their volumes. I don't know what the, I don't know what the advantages are. But I would, a good guess would be if Nuno was to, so let me say this, if Nuno was to ever leave Washburn, I could imagine why he would just basically just do his own brand. Not so much because I think he wants to be in the guitar business, just because that's his guitar, if you think about it. I mean, he designed it. It's his guitar. So he would continue to play it. I just couldn't picture him playing a different guitar at this point. So I don't see him going to another company just so they can make a version of the Washburn guitar. But who knows? If anyone knows, you can put it in the comments if you have real information. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Kutsa, whatever. There's a lot of letters. It says I didn't even realize Washburn was still in business. He should probably lose. He should probably lose elsewhere. Well, yeah, Washburn, they're really known. They've always been known for making acoustics. They've made electrics. You got to understand, there was a lot of companies like Washburn, which has changed hands throughout the years. And it's obviously not the company it started was, much less not even the company that it's, it was a couple times. But there's a lot of companies like Washburn who are acoustic brands. Alvarez is another one, where when the 80s came, it was a bloodbath in the guitar industry for electric guitars. And what I mean by that is it's still to this day true. More acoustics are sold every day than electrics. That's how it is every day today. It's how it was 10 years ago, and it was how it was everywhere, except for a short window of time known as the 80s, when everyone, and I mean everyone who wanted to play guitar, wanted an electric guitar. It's just how it worked. And so a lot of companies who are acoustic companies only were really seeing like hey, we need to get in the electric guitar business. We're saying no to a lot of money. And so Alvarez and Washburn were some of the companies that are like, hey, let's start making some electrics. And that's where the Nuno thing came from. They wanted to get into the electric business probably really badly, and then they saw Nuno as their opportunity to break that industry. And then here's the sad thing. Over the years, there's just no way. I told you I was a Washburn dealer. As a Washburn dealer, I think we were a Washburn dealer for 15 years? No. What am I talking about? That's too many years. That's not the math. Why am I thinking like that? 11 years? 12 years? 11, 12 years. So 11, 12, just over a decade. I sold Washburn for over a decade. What we sold was acoustics, lots of them. In our store, is Fender acoustics and Washburn acoustics were our two head-to-head number one selling guitars. And because you're trying to sell a guitar that's above a $99 student grade guitar, but something below, a mid-price or high expensive guitar. But I can tell you, we sold Fender acoustics really well, but mostly in the absence of Washburn. It was just so hard to get Washburn acoustics all the time. I could never order enough of Washburn acoustics. No matter what I put in the order for, whatever came, we would sell through too fast. And so when we couldn't get Washburn, we would just go Fender. So yeah. So the update is Washburn still never responded to my email. I think next week I'm going to send them a little email saying, hey, just following up to see if you ever heard anything. We'll see. Let's see. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, let's go on to the next subject. We'll do this. We'll refresh this screen. And we have from Vimps69 says, hey, Phil, love my No Gravy shirt. Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you got one. You mentioned in your video about the PRS SE N53 that it doesn't really sound like a Telly. Do you think it will be short-lived model, or do you think it will last? I personally don't. When I did the NF53 core, it's not a core, but it's USA bolt-on series. Just so you guys know the hierarchy of PRS again. There's private stock, there's core, then there's like bolt-on, then S2, then SE. That's kind of how they stack it, and I think that's in the hierarchy of it. So it's considered a bolt-on even if it's USA, but not core, if that makes any sense. Anyways, the NF53 USA made one. I liked it. Like I said, it's quality guitar. I thought for $3,000 it was a little much for what it is. I mean, essentially it's just a Telly for $3,000. And like I said, I pointed out there's, to me, a lot of PRS guitars that are $3,000 that I think are better, like the C24. But again, I can see where somebody really wants like a Telly vibe guitar. The SE, I said it in the video. Somebody asked, but I said it in the video. Somebody's like, why do you think it was $979? I think it was $79 because of comparative pricing. So in other words, the USA one's $3,000. So of course the Indonesian one's going to be $1,000. That's just how that works. It's the same business model Epiphone and Squire use. I told you guys it doesn't have to be based on factual costs. It just has to be based on, you have a customer who's like, hey, I want a $10,000, Joe Bonamassa model Gibson, but I can't afford it. But now here's a $2,000 Epiphone one, right? That's how you really basically do it. And then somebody goes, well, why is an Epiphone $2,000? Because the USA one's $10,000, right? Or something like that. So same thing. But what I said in the video was it's not very Telly-like in the way it sounds and the way it feels. So is it going to be short-lived? No, I think PRS has proven that it can dominate in different areas. I just don't know if it's ever going to see the stellar success of like the Silver Sky. And when I say that, I don't mean in the it'll sell as much as the Silver Sky, but you can understand in the Fender world, Fender Strats outsells Telecasters, so by volume. But Telecasters are obviously pretty close. So I would think, like, I'm curious to see how close the NF53 gets to the Silver Sky or the the Strat-esque versions of what SE has out there. I just don't know. I think the pickups are good quality pickups. It's just that's where I'm not falling in love with the guitars. They sound fine, but I'm not a big fan, and I'm not a big fan of companies making their own shaped pickups. it's not that I want to switch out the pickups for, the pickups I want. It's that I can't. So, and I feel like through the Murphy's Law of it, right? That every time I get a guitar with a goofy shaped pickup, I go, oh, I don't really love this. I wish I could swap it out, and I can't. And that's, so I think you're stuck with it. So you can in that guitar. So, the SE though, you can, because of the pick guard, you just have to cut a new pick guard and you can stick whatever pickup in there. So I think they should put 2 humbuckers in it, or 2 P90s. I think 2 P90s would be even better. Even though those pickups have a P90 vibe, they're just not P90s. And I think it'd be better to be. It's the one thing I think they messed up on. And I think, look, their logic is probably they're going to sell way more guitars than I could ever sell. So maybe they know, they know way more than me. But I think they look at it like, hey, make it like the core. So use the pickups that are like the core. Me, I'm thinking that guitar with some P90s, that's kind of fun. Like all of a sudden I'm liking it. And the price is $799. I'm really liking it. I think that would be just a more fantastic guitar. But what's great is, guys, you don't understand, is they get to do that later anyways if they want. So might as well try it the way they tried it. I don't know how well the guitar is doing, how well it's received, or how well it's doing. I haven't kind of put my finger on the pulse of anything yet. That was sent to me, so you guys know. That guitar was sent to me because I'm going to Cortec very soon, let's say in a month. My flight's already booked and everything, and I'm going to be in that factory. So I think the logic was, hey, let's send him the SE stuff because he's going to see it in the factory anyways, right? So it's smart. So they sent it to me. It was a good move. I would have done the same thing. Yardbird says it needs coil splits. Yeah, I agree. I think coil splits would have been a nice option, kind of like on that limited edition Fender we did, where I added the coil splits. I think why not, but it's a good guitar. That's the important part. It's a good quality guitar. You just have to decide if it's for you. I love the way it looks. I like the quality of it. I just wasn't in love with the pickups, but it wasn't because they sound bad. It just didn't, I don't know, just didn't do anything for me. Okay, what else? Next, what do we got to talk about? Antique Rocker says, hey, do you think musical education is as good now as when you were learning? What would you charge if you could? What would I charge? Oh, what would I change? Oh yeah, what would I change if I could? Public, private? Where should I start? Where should it start? Okay, let's do that one again. He wants to know, Antique Rocker wants to know how good do I think musical education is now versus back in the day? And I think it's better now. I think education period is better now. I can't imagine, and I'm going to be really reserved on this because I'm trying to say it correctly. I think that there was probably more in the past of people pushing people into education. There was more opportunities that way. But now the way that access to information now is so huge. So much information is just available to you. And the one downfall of is, yeah, most information is available. Most information is free now, but you got to do a lot of searching and research. But I almost prefer that, me personally. I'm not a big fan of the U.S. learning system, the school system here. Now, keep in mind, I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, on an underfunded school district, so I have a lot of not good things to say about that school district. Not because I'm picking on any specific teachers or anybody in the industry, or not industry in the education, but obviously the funding was just for crap. The main reason at the time was, if you're not familiar with Tucson, Arizona, it's essentially built on 2 economies, which is a retirement economy and the military, which is an Air Force base. And which means you have a lot of people who are not really vested in paying a lot of taxes there, right? You have a lot of military people who are going to be gone soon. So, building up the city isn't really an important thing for them or a focus point for them. And you have a lot of retirees who are like, hey, I'm trying to stay here just a few months of the year because they have the snowbirds. So the schools were really, when I say they're underfunded, like every like back when I was in school there, everything got voted down. So we had no wood shop, we had no metal shop, we had no auto shop. We didn't have any of those stuff. They didn't exist when I went to school at all. And, but good news is I have friends who have kids that go to the school that we grew up in, and they say that they have those things now. So they're better funded now. But back to what I'm saying is, yeah, education's better now. First of all, I've always thought it was dumb that everybody learns on the, in school, music, they go to music and they learn the recorder. It's just dumb. Everybody should learn the piano. I believe in Japan, they do that, right? They have a lot of, the kids are basically exposed to piano. I think the piano is the, as someone who ran a music academy for over a decade, I can tell you from watching students, we paid, it was a big investment. We paid to make sure there was a piano in every single lesson room, even though we were 90% guitar students. 95%, whatever. We were 95% guitar students. And the reason we did that is because we knew that you could teach music theory so much better and more easily on a piano than guitar. And so when you have a new student sitting there with a piano and kind of explaining music theory and music, it's just a logical instrument. And I think everybody should be exposed to piano. I've said this before, because at least you'll understand, kind of like a cooking analogy, how the ingredients work, how it all comes together and or what's involved in it. But I think everything education wise is better now just because of the opportunity to get the access to information. So the reason I say it that way is I'm not saying that technically the system is better now or anything like that. I'm just saying the availability of the information is so much more readily available. It's great. So Mighty Guitar Mod says, no wood shop, heathens. Yeah, it's a weird time. Yeah, so that's my answer to that. And thank goodness for YouTube University out there. You can learn anything on YouTube. It's crazy. Dr. My Balzich with a Z. I'm going to hit that Z hard. Balzich. I like that. Says, hey, a Slash owned Gibson is worth more than a Dr. My Balzich owned Gibson. Man, you have an addiction to that word. Anyways, okay. So he's saying Slash owned Gibson is worth more than a Gibson owned by him. Think any YouTubers can price their guitars higher from their name recognition? I don't know. When I say I don't know, I'm sure they do. In my experience, most of the YouTubers that sell their stuff try to put a premium on it. I would tell you from this perspective, I can tell you that I've sold a crap ton of gear because that's just a revolving door of gear to have a channel. I mentioned that we have 33 guitars. We did 33 guitars to sell. And somebody's like, 33 guitars. I'm like, well, I do 52 deep dives a year, not including other stuff. So I'm like, that's 52 guitars are cycled through in a year. That's a lot of guitars just in that one category. So yeah, you just have a lot of product and not all of it goes sent back. There's all different ways that it works. And so anyway, so I have to sell a lot of gear. So whether I like it or not, which is I don't. I don't like doing it. I hate it. You have no idea. But it's a good way to keep your channel going. But in my experience, I will tell you this: I have sold a ton of gear at what I thought was a very fair or discounted price, and I watched people flip it for more money than when I sold them to it, using the fact that it was in a deep dive video. I thought that was funny. I've seen it, so I've seen it. They've done that. I have to tell you how I price my gear is really pretty straightforward. If I'm selling a piece of gear, usually it's because I'm churning it. Okay. Today's Guitar of the Week, as you know, we're selling gear all through the month. In fact, you know what? This is a good segue. We'll go right into,
now it's time for Guitar of the Week.
We'll go into Guitar of the Week. So, and that, cause I think this will tie into the selling and everything else. Okay. So you gotta understand when I, like a lot of channels, I get gear. Sometimes I'm like, okay, they send a piece of gear and sometimes it's on loan, like the Herman Li, cause it's a expensive guitar and they're not going to give that to you. So they go, hey, you got to send that back. So if I try to buy it, sometimes, in most cases, I can get what, like I said, accommodation pricing. In other words, they're going to cut me a deal. It's a smart move, right? Because now look at this. Look at all the conversation we had today on the guitar. They sold the guitar for a profit because remember the deal, their discount is cheap. Their discount to me is cheaper than I'm getting anywhere else, but it still comes with some kind of profit to them. The other thing they could do is they could leave guitars behind. Sometimes companies do that. They'll say, hey, we'll send the guitar to you and you can keep it, right? And that is basically a way of saying, yeah, you could sell it and then you can take the money you got from it, and that pays you for your time and effort in making the video. Another thing we do a lot of is a lot of companies would send guitars on loan, and what we've learned is we try not to send any guitars back or very few of the guitars back, and here's why. Because what we've learned is we can contact them and say, okay, we got the guitar. I know you want it back. Can you sell it to us for a really good deal? And then we'll sell it to our audience, and then we can make a little bit of money. Because that was Shauna's idea, by the way. She came up with the idea. She was like, well, if they give us a deal for like guitar, let's say, they sell it for $600 and we sell it for $750. We make like $100. Where we would have got nothing if we just sent it right back to them. And either way, we're making a trip to the stupid store to ship it. We still got to box it up and ship it. I was like, that's a good point. For $100 or sometimes more, because depending on what we're selling for, you're just taking some extra pictures and listing it. It makes total sense. So in that, you can see some of the guitars and stuff we sell. Some of it is stuff that was left behind. I'm selling it to pay for my channel. Some of the stuff I'm paying them for, and I'm giving you a deal because I just want to quickly flip it and keep the difference to fund my channel and endeavors. And then, like I said, sometimes that's pretty much it. Sometimes it just goes back because they want it back, or I have to send it to another channel. So today's guitar of the week is a Paul Reed Smith S2. They no longer make this guitar. Isn't this guitar gorgeous? But it's got a cool story. As you know, guitar of the week is always a story. This is a Paul Reed Smith S2, which looks like shouldn't that look like a 10 top? Let's go to the side cam on this, can we? Look at this top. Look at that, right? That's a gorgeous top. This is not a veneer. This is a USA made S2. So that is a real cap, right? It's a 1/4-inch maple cap instead of the 1/2-inch center that they would do on a core. This is semi-hollow. They stopped making this model. This is my favorite one. In fact, if you look right behind me, there's my black one. And if you're asking why I'm selling this one, it's because I love the black one. Just how it works. Trust me, I've been struggling with this for weeks and weeks, and it's driving me crazy because this one looks so good compared to that one. But I've had that one since 2015. So here's why the story's funny. In 2015, the PRS rep came to me, because I was still a store and still a dealer, and said, we have a smoking deal for NAMM. You buy 16 S2s, and I think you got 2 for free, something like that. And they gave you a smoking deal. So what happened was I bought a bunch, and I got one. There it is. That's where that one comes from. That's also a 2015. Same batch, same as this guitar. And so what happened with this one was I sold this to a customer who then decided to turn it into a case queen. It's never been played. I mean, it's got no marks, nothing. It's about 7.5 pounds. I put the official weights on the Gear Exchange, 7.43 pounds, something like that. And this is all original, has the original pickups. These are the import pickups. This is before they did the thing where now they put the USA pickups. This is one of my favorite guitars. In fact, as much as I love the Nathan guitar, because it was made for me, as much as I love my Mira, as much as I love that Herman Li, that's my favorite PRS, the single cut S2, which is why I almost thought maybe I need a backup. But I've learned if you get 2 of the same guitar, you don't play one. So this guitar has no issues, no blims, no nothing. It was sold originally in 2015 from my store to me. And then the customer decided to move back to Canada, right? And he sold me his collection. There's a video about this guitar and the collection I bought. And as you guys know, I was after the Setzer. So I said, hey, how about I buy everything? Since I knew where it came from, almost everything came from my store. Not everything. The Setzer did, this did. I think the 95 Strat we sold last week, that was something he acquired somewhere else because it's an old guitar. So let's see what we're plugged into. So what we're plugged into right now is my Steve Morris Ingle amp. Okay, We'll go to side cam. Okay. We'll start on the clean channel of the amp. That's your neck pickup. Huh, what's wrong with me? Now this has coil split. Now, one of the things I love about these S2s, some people, this particular one, the single cut semi-hollow in these pickups, some people will say the pickups are dark. They're right, which is why I like the neck pickup, because it's got the kind of very soft. In fact, some flat wounds on this sounds amazing. But then a coil split again. Okay, let's go to the middle channel. This is a little bit of gain. Oh, it's not the middle channel, but it's the little bit more gain channel. And of course, we got to go high gain, so we'll go to the bridge. Here we go. Let's clean it up. So now I'm using the amp still high gain mode when I'm using the neck pickup with the volume back. So we'll switch. You'll see in a second. Here we go. Here's your neck with the volume back. Look at that. Copyright strike. Okay, so all right. So 7.5-ish pounds. This is the pattern regular neck. It's so it's not the wide thin or the pattern thin. It's got the plastic, or they call the ivory bird inlays. The pickups, somebody asked what they are. I think they're the 8515 SE pickups. They're the SE pickups because so let me run down the guitar so you understand. This bridge is USA bridge. This is the aluminum ultralight one-piece bridge, which I still love dearly because I still remember the day when somebody asked Paul Reed Smith, they asked Paul Smith, they go, because, so you know, the thing about this wraparound bridge, it has adjustment screws right here. You can adjust it back for intonation, but if you put a wound string on this guitar, the intonation will not work with this bridge. So you need the individual saddles. And somebody said, hey, why don't you have individual adjustment saddles on your bridge? And Paul Smith looked at the guy and said, you don't put a bolt through a church bell. This thing sings, man. I just remember what was there when he said that. Anyways, I always thought it was funny. So it's got the locking PRS tuners. Ta-da. It has, what else? So USA bridge, import pickups, import electronics, all stock. Everything on the guitar is absolutely stock, including the gig bag. I'll show you that. 2, we'll share the shop because this is the whole point, and actually give you feedback each week about how the experience is going with the Gear Exchange, because that's the whole point of this. Is Sweetwater is sponsoring by paying for, oh my goodness, can I just tell you how crazy expensive bubble wrap is? Hey, my wife's watching this, so hey Shauna, if you want to come up and throw the bubble wrap in here at me, I would love that to share with them. So on a side note, I'll set it up. So Sweetwater said that they'd sponsor these gear exchange videos, and by sponsoring I'm taking the money and I'm giving you free shipping, and I had to order boxes for all these guitars because I don't have boxes, and bubble wrap. And so Shauna bought a giant roll of bubble wrap online. And the FedEx guy came with it. We were a little nervous, like, are we gonna have enough bubble wrap this week? And the FedEx guy pulled up, and I can see out this window. I can see the FedEx truck because I'm upstairs. And I said, "Hey, Shauna, the bubble wrap's here. Like, get ready." In other words, like, he's gonna roll it down into the house because she bought this giant thing of expensive bubble wrap. So we'll share with that maybe. Okay, let's go back to the webcam. So this week, what we're selling, of course, is the single cut each week. Oh, here it is. Look at that. This is the giant thing of bubble wrap we ordered online. She goes, this is what I remember. Shauna goes, I ordered the bubble wrap. I go, yeah. And she goes, man, it was expensive. And I go, really? She goes, yeah, I thought so. And then the UPS guy came, and I go, hey, do you need help with the bubble wrap? Because it's usually like a big wheel. And she goes, this is it. So long story short, we ordered more bubble wrap. So bubble wrap. So we have bubble wrap in boxes. Anyways, back to this. So what we do each week is we list the guitar of the week, which was what the guitar you just saw. This one in excellent condition, obviously, because it's never been really played. And then we're selling off one guitar, deep dive guitar every week, as you guys know. So this week, the deep dive guitar was the used Paul Reed Smith SE N53. So if somebody want to buy that. And also I have a pick guard full of Wiggins pickups that I have available if anyone's interested. So that's the update. Gear Exchange has been great, man. I tell you, we all know what the shortfall is. They don't have a ton of inventory on there, and because there's not a ton of inventory, there's not a ton of buyers. So one thing I can't really relay to you is because you guys see the channel, so obviously you guys are seeing the auction, so I'm getting it thousands of views, where normally you would be lucky to get a couple hundred views. But I still stick with, I feel like the people that I'm meeting on Gear Exchange told you, takes me back to Reverb 10 years ago when everybody was just, not a guitar flipper per se, but just a person like, hey, I'm selling off this guitar I have. It's not like they have 50 things listed all the time. So it's kind of nice. I don't know. So, but so far so good. The other thing I like is when the guitar gets delivered, I get a message sent right to me, not from FedEx or the shipping company, but from Gear Exchange with a picture saying the guitar's arrived. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then PW says, are the Wiggins pickups mesquite wood? I don't know. Or they're not Koa. Let me look. I don't know what they are. So if you guys remember a couple weeks ago, Guitar Week, I'm showing you right now, Guitar of the Week, I did a Strat. It was a 2008 Fender American Standard Strat, and it had this pickguard in it with the Wiggins pickup. I took this pickup out. So this is the original Fender pickguard. So the original and the electronics. So this is out of a 2008 Fender American Strat. So everything is stock. The pickguard, the electronics, and then these pickups were custom made. William's wife Renee made these birds and lasered them in. So she did this. These are probably mesquite if I was going to guess. But again, I'm sorry, I did not buy these pickups original. What happened was the person I bought the Strat from had that Wiggins set in there, and I was gonna actually sell off that Strat. That wasn't a Strat I intended on keeping, but I really liked the way it played. I love the way those pickups sounded, but I threw some other pickups in it. So I put my pickups in it. So just being honest, I like these pickups, but I like the more punchy, hotter pickups that I like. His pickups are more vintagey. Okay, so that's your guitar of the week. So if anyone's interested in it, and if not, well, each week will be something different. Again, no Telly Driver goes biased. Nah. Well, the problem is it's not biased. It's a type of pickup. It'd be like saying I like a hotter, like a JB pickup over a 59, like with Seymour Duncan. That's what it is. I don't have any Strats with 50s era vintage style pickups. Everything I have is kind of the slightly hotter 60s era style pickup in my Strats. So and then yeah, that's it. That's it. That's enough talk. Okay. Okay. Ron wants to know, do you like Lawler pickups? I have tried a bunch of Lawler pickups. I believe I have a set of his humbuckers somewhere in something, and I like them. Yeah, of course. Lawler makes great pickups. Absolutely. Eddie says, hey, would you change the pickups on a Fender Performer Telecaster for the hum? Yep, I would. As you keep in mind, my main Telecaster has BG 1400s, which are noiseless Seymour Duncan Telecaster pickups, which are, again, very punchy. I run my volume, so this is very, so you guys are very, so you understand, most of the time I'm playing, my volume is cocked back about a quarter back. It's very typical of me on a Strat, very typical of me on most of my guitars. I just kind of like to run the volume a little bit back. It's a very Jeff Becky thing. I understand that he does, he did and inspired that. I didn't get it from Jeff Beck. I got it from somebody who was inspired by Jeff Beck. So, right, but it still came from Jeff Beck, I guess. And that's why I don't like the pickups to be too low output, because then when I roll that back, it's just too thin, too fast. And I do that because I typically do not play, like today you heard me switching through the Ingle. I don't typically play a multi-channel amp. I play one amp with a light overdrive, and then I clean it up with the volume knob, and that's my clean. And then if I want distortion, I roll the volume back up. I just am used to that. It's from spending most of my life playing bass on stage, and on bass, I don't reach to my amp to adjust settings. I would adjust my instrument. And with guitar, I'm really, really happy with doing that. I'll clean it up a little bit if I want, and then it's kind of like in the demo I just did. Notice how I was like, I'll clean it up with the neck pickup. So think about this. In that demo, although the clean sounded amazing and everything, since we're all still hooked up and we can still play. So think about this. I will go here. This is where I would play if I wasn't playing for you guys. So this is the neck pickup volume, okay? So this is where I'd play. So I'd rather do that than switch over the amp or use a foot switch. So there you go. Brian says, oh, the purple EVH behind me is sweet. Yeah, well, it's not an EVH, but it's EVH. It's a Access. So that's a Music Man Access, a 96 in purple. Okay. Okay. So I think we covered the guitar of the weeks this week. Very cool. And then we'll talk about at the end of the show. I have some end of the show announcements that are cool. Let's keep moving so we can keep on the subjects that people care about. Brad Guitar Miller says, hey, did I miss the work mat? I really like the bigger work space area. Definitely need that. Thanks for the shout out on the fret rocker. You rock. You rock. You rock. Thanks, Brad. So if you guys, I talked about earlier that on the second channel, we did a tool. So here's what's important about the second channel for me and for you. I make the content and someone else edits the second channel. So that's how it works. Thumbnails, titles, editing is all done by somebody else. I have a full-time person who's doing that, and so they can pump that stuff out, and I just have an overview of it. Like, and sometimes I don't, because I'm like, don't tell me what you're doing. No, I don't want to know, because I'll get involved with that, and then I unfocus from what I'm doing. So the tool video, so you understand, like the tool video was an hour and 53 minute clinic that they took and made a 16-minute succinct video, time-stamped it all, and put links to every tool in the video. That alone probably took 7-8 hours. Probably, I'm guessing. So if I would have done that, you wouldn't have got a deep dive this week. You wouldn't have got something. Something would be missing from the channel. So that's what that's about. So yeah, Brad. I think yours tool is even first or something like that. So Brad makes a really beautiful aluminium for those overseas, over in the pond, as you say, over the pond, makes a beautiful fret rocker. And yeah. And then you're talking about the work mat. The work mats, I've switched over the years to different work mats, and now what I'm using is some neoprene pads that I buy off of Amazon. So that's where I get them. I don't have the thing that I access Amazon here because it's not on this computer. Otherwise, I'll tell you. I'll put a link to those eventually where I get them. But they're just big giant. They're actually gaming pads for video gamers, and the reason I like them is for this. One, they're relatively inexpensive. Two, which is important because I actually damage pads a lot. It happens a lot. You work on guitars and something happens and I just want to clean a new pad. I don't throw them away or anything. I kind of stage them. In other words, like once they're a little shoddy, I use them for more aggressive work. And the other thing is they take heat really well, and I can heat transfer on patches or graphics onto them, like the Know Your Gear thing, and that kind of makes it fun for me. So I can. People kept asking me if I want to sell my own pads, like work pads, and I really don't. I would really not like to get into any kind of product sales. I mean, it's bad enough we got to push merch, but at least merch is just what you're getting. You're getting a shirt and you're supporting the channel. I don't have to hear like, the more you get into product, the more you're going to be involved with turning your viewer into a customer. And it's just not something I'm eager to do if I can avoid it. So I like everything to be revolved around the channel and not isolated from the channel. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. Sir, I have no idea. TOGLL? What is that? Toggle? But there's no I. I don't know. We'll go with it. I'm going to call you Sir. Sir says, hey, new amp day, kind of. Okay, got a Synergy 2C Plus module. Oh, and I wonder if you've messed about with that at all. I haven't. I can definitely achieve the Mesa sound, but oh boy, is that tiny little EQ band sensitive. Yeah, well, so is the real Mesa Boogies. The EQs are just nuts. So I would imagine it is too. I've never tried the Mesa Boogie Synergy modules. I reached out to Synergy. As you guys know, I bought the Sen20 head. I bought that recently. And I got it because I was curious about it, and retailers were blowing them out. It's funny. I found a ton of retailers that were willing to give you a smoking deal. So I paid a smoking deal deep discount on it. I'm pretty sure I paid dealer cost or a little bit less. But anyways, and so I got it to try it, and I really like it. I prefer it over my 50 head in the fact that it's just smaller platform. It's easier for me to move around. It's like the last thing I need is another 50-pound amp to move around the room. This is something else I don't need to deal with. But I just have a couple modules, and I keep thinking about getting another one and another module, and I just haven't decided. But I have not tried it. Yuli says, what's a smoking deal on a Synergy amp? 15% off? I think I paid $6 something for it. New. So, I don't know. Maybe with tax it was closer to 7. So I thought that was good. I thought it was a good deal. Eddie says, hey Phil, I got a Squire Bullet Mustang with a Strat style bridge. After adjusting the action, the saddles stick out and dig in my hand. Any tips or fix? Yeah, I would go to monsterbolts.com and you can get new screws for those, or you can cut the screws, the grub screws yourself. I have a short video on it, a YouTube short video. So I will link it. I'm making a quick grab right now to it. Give me 1 second. One of the things we really focus on is making shorts of certain things that are reference materials like that. And so the Monster Bolts was something that we made a short of. So you can not only find a video on that, you can find a YouTube short, and it'll take you right to Monster Bolts. But otherwise, you can just go to monsterbolts.com and you can. I'll find it and put it on there. I made a notation to put it on the timestamps. And you can find new grub screws that are shorter and relatively inexpensive, or you can cut them yourself. I have the video shows you how to cut them or how to buy them. It's up to you. I prefer buying new ones. But I understand. Everybody's got it's really a work cost benefit analysis for me. You know, pulling them out and cutting them maybe takes me 20 minutes, $6 or whatever it is, $10. It just seems like an easy. And I just said screw it and just bought tons of them. So I have tons of those. So I'll never run out. I just said, instead of thinking about like what a set cost me, I just spent like $50 and bought a bunch, maybe $60 and bought a bunch. Grumpy Mike Guitar said, "Hey, I love the tools video. Every serious player should have many of those tools, just not just text, totally worth having." I mean, obviously, I don't think anyone should ever regret buying tools. The only, obviously, if you don't use them, it sucks, but they're not like they go bad. We're going to be adding a new feature. I don't know if feature is the right word. So in the deep dive videos, we've decided that this came from the clinics, which is great. We learned stuff from doing the clinics. When it goes into geeky stuff now, what we'll do is we'll announce, I'm going to be announcing every tool that will be in the geeky section of the video. So you'll know. So instead of like, as you watch it, and I use this radius gauge, or I use this measuring, this ruler, or I use this caliper, whatever I'm using, it says, hey, let's get into the geeky stuff. And then and it says, hey, for this section, we're using these tools. And then there'll be links to those tools. Maybe, of course, that'll help revenue for the channel, because if you click any of the tools and buy them, we get kickback for that, which is a good segue to something to talk about in a second. And also, I think just it will be nice to see going into it, these are the tools you'll see in the next, 7 minutes, which I think is cool, right? So you don't have to go, okay, what did he use? What did he use? What did he use? It's like, you lay them all out on the table and you go, here they are, just so you know. Speaking of affiliates, I thought it was interesting. I thought I'd share this with you. I got a weird email from Fender Guitars. Somebody might have heard of them. They're a big up and comer. I mean, huge. I think they're going to be the biggest company one day. Anyways, Fender Guitars reached out to me and pretty much shocked me. I got to tell you, they shocked me. I know what you're thinking. What? They said, hey, we want you to do deep dives. No, they didn't say that. They said, hey, you're pre-approved to be affiliate for us. So they're like, hey, we'd like you to be an affiliate. Maybe that doesn't seem like a big deal to you guys. I'm going to lay it out to you in an interesting way, because this is crazy. So I clicked the button, and then all of a sudden, no, I'm just kidding. No, there's no scams, no bad side of the story. I clicked the link because obviously it's a trusted link because I know what it's going to. And instantaneously I was approved. So if I send you guys to the Fender website and you buy any of the Fender products, I'll get a kickback. I'll get a piece. What's interesting is they're paying me 2.5 times more than Sweetwater does. So it's an interesting thing, is because we've talked about this many times, about the future and the future of Fender selling direct to consumers and where they plan to go with this, and Gibson and everybody else. And look, affiliate marketing is huge right now. It's been huge for years. It's why Sweetwater is basically involved with all the YouTube channels. And the reason I'm telling you that is not so much to go, hey, click I don't even have the affiliate links up. But one, there was a question. This all ties in. Anytime I can tie in like 2 subjects or 2 questions, it's great. So this is what I thought was interesting. This means, without a doubt, in my opinion, Fender is now online head-to-head competing out there. That's what that means. Now, I'd like to also point out that Seymour Duncan, I'm an affiliate with Seymour Duncan. I'm affiliate with a lot of brands that also give me that same percentage, which is much higher than retail. And part of that reason is because unlike retail stores like Guitar Center and Sweetwater and stuff, where if you go there, you can buy anything and maybe it kicks something back to the channel, like Amazon. If you buy dog food, I still get something. Where if you don't, you go to Fender, you got to buy specifically a Fender product or Seymour Duncan. But it's just interesting to see the evolution of this, which in my mind is the evolution of, well, Fender's actively out there, because this isn't just hey, if they happen to go to our website and buy Fender direct from us over a dealer, that's fine. This is, hey, they're giving me a financial incentive to push you to Fender's website. I just told you, I'm not exaggerating. If I send you to buy a Fender at Fender's website versus Sweetwater, I make 2.5 times more from Fender. So in theory, when I say that, because keep in mind, that means if you buy a like item, And Sweetwater may pay me less, but of course, there's way more opportunities for you to click and buy something. So I thought that was interesting. I wish it's to me, it's definitely Fender moving into the direct to consumer market. That's what I take that as. This is more than just them listing stuff on their website. This is more than, any of that. This is actively out there marketing and campaigning to sell direct. So, which is what we predicted. Why that ties into another subject was I got a question from a patron, and they wanted to, they had an issue, not a negative one, but they had an issue. And the issue was, they said, Phil, I am in Europe and, hold on, what does it say? EU. I'm in the EU. And when I try to use affiliates to support your channel, you only use Sweetwater, Reverb, and Guitar Center, no Thomann. Can you please add Thomann to your affiliate links? No, I cannot. Thomann reached out to me a couple years ago and asked me if I wanted to be an affiliate. I said yes. I set up their thing, which I thought was the long, hellaciously horrible process. I'm just complaining. There's no reason to complain. It was a lot harder than some of the easier affiliate processes, in my opinion, but it was fine. I went through it and I set it up, and like you can imagine, I don't have time. It's to put affiliate links on my videos, like when I became a Sweetwater affiliate, it took about 2 weeks out of about 4 or 5 hours a day for 2 weeks. So, 50 hours, 40 hours total, something like that, to put all those links out there. So hopefully you guys click them, and if you buy some picks, I'll get, 4 cents. And I did not do the Thomann ones for the first month or so, because I was like, oh, I'll get to it. And then Thomann sent me an email, which was very funny because it was, you ever read something and you're like, this is jilted ex-girlfriend? Is that the thing you say? Like, this was a pissed off girlfriend. They were like, your affiliate links have not been performing. And basically, if that doesn't change, we're gonna get rid of you as an affiliate. And so I think I responded with, that's fine if you want to remove me as an affiliate. So Thomann removed me as an affiliate. So that's why I was fired as an affiliate from Thomann, because I can't sell product. So, and as I've told you guys before, look, I'm not going to turn free money away. That's just dumb, especially when I'm out here trying to make content, and most of the time it's not always performing. But I'm not actively trying to sell you guys crap either. So it's, it's not like a heavy loss. I just thought the answer is that's why I'm not a Thomann affiliate. And I wouldn't be a Thomann affiliate if they asked again, because it'd be one thing if they said, hey, you're not performing, what can we do to help? But they basically wanted to tell me that it was like, I got the email like, you're underperforming, and if this doesn't change, you're gone. And I was like, all right, well then I'm gone. So that's the answer on that. And to be honest with you, I don't even really use the Reverb affiliates anymore. I don't know. I actually don't even do the affiliates anymore. Luckily for me, like I said, we have somebody who does that now. I have somebody who puts the affiliate links in all the videos. So, thank goodness, because otherwise, like I said, it's time away from making content, and that's time away from stuff that I want to do. Ryan says, hey, Phil, Patreon member here, and glad that I can finally join the live show. Hey, thanks for joining live. He says, what's a good first tube amp for bedroom volumes that sounds good, clean, takes a looper and pedals, low watts, effects loop? Oh, the effects loop throws you off. What should you look for? It depends do you really need an effects loop? If you're going to run pedals, look, here's Ryan, Blues Junior, Fender Princeton, any Fender tube amp is going to be a great, like if I can only have one tube amp, it's probably going to be a Fender amp. It's just a great way to go. And the only reason not to buy a Fender tube amp is because it's expensive and it's out of your budget, right? So you would go with some other more obtainable brand pricing, a brand pricing. But to me, like, if I was going to have one amp, if I only had one amp, it's going to be a Fender because it's got reverb. It's a great clean amp, and clean is the one pedal you can't buy. You got to get that right. If that clean's not great, it's not going any, and at this point, most of the amps that do clean okay and do distortion great, again, I could use a katana and just throw pedals in front of it. So for me, if I'm using pedals, I just want a good Fender clean amp with reverb. If you're a little bit more like the Vox vibe, you could go Vox too, but I'm still going to be a Fender person. Hot Rod Deluxe, Blues Junior, Princeton, a 65 Deluxe, you name it, something like that's always a good way to go. And again, like I said, unless it's a budget constraint. And then effects loop, they don't have those in those. Well, the Hot Rod Deluxe, that's a George Benson amp right there. So that's a George Benson version of a Hot Rod Deluxe. That has an effects loop. I don't think the Blues Junior does. I don't remember having one. So you could go, but that's a little overkill. 40 watts tube and a 112 is a big sounding. It's a really loud amp, even with pedals. But I would, something like that for a tube amp. And I wouldn't worry about effects loop because the effects loop's really important if you're going to use the distortion off the amp, because if you're using the distortion off the amp, you got to put the delay, reverb, time-based effects in the effects loop after the gain, right? It has to go after the distortion, not before. But if you're going to use pedals for your overdrive sound, don't worry about effects loop. It's not really that important. In my experience. James says, oh, you still have your Benson. Kind of. I mean, there's a Benson there. That sounds sarcastic. It's not really me to be sarcastic. It's me basically saying it's not the Benson I had years ago, but it's a Benson. So yeah, you'll see. There's a video kind of explaining it soon. Not a specific Benson video, but something else. Okay. Okay. Nathan's topic question is, hey, where can I find a wiring diagram for how your Delos Strat is wired? I want to do the same wiring on my Strat. I want something to take to my tech. I was going to do that as a schematic, and I didn't do it. And then it makes sense that it's coming up soon. There's something come up soon. It will be a clinic on it, but we will, again, probably condense it down and throw the condensed version out on the second channel. And I'll let you guys know when that's out, or you can subscribe to the second channel and be notified when it comes out. But it is something we're actively working on right now. It's not something we think we're going to do. It's something we're actually doing. Seth says, hey, happy Friday. Is the gear market still seems like it's in free fall? July 4th and Prime Day deals weren't crazy, but more of the same trend. Yeah, I wouldn't, the terms free fall, bad. I'm not, I used this analogy once before. I like it. I'm going to keep using it when we talk about the market and in the concept of a recession or things like that. How I explain the last big recession to somebody is, if the recession was the ocean, the people on the beach felt it first, then the people in the valley, then the people in the mountains. And so while the people on the beach said, hey, we're drowning here, it's pretty bad, the people in the mountains go, it looks pretty good. No issues, right? And the people in the valley said, it's fine, but the water's really close. I think the recession almost works the same way, or like a market like this, as it's softening, you have people who are like really feeling it at some point. There's some people in the situation, they're feeling it right now, and they're like, hey, everything is doom and gloom. The problem is you just don't know how far the water comes. In other words, does it go to the valley? Does it go to the mountains? What I see now in the market is what I told you. This is the eye of the storm. So in other words, we're seeing deals. You're just seeing smoking deals. But I think those all end by the end of the year. So I think, and then that's when it's going to get really messy, because then I think it's going to be survival of the fittest. So it'll be the ones in the right positions will win, and the ones don't, they go. Because right now you can definitely blow out gear and churn revenue and churn product and have movement and keep your company going. But, and because what I see is there's definitely people buying a lot more stuff than I thought they would be. If I was going to guess in January, which I didn't, thank goodness, of where we would be in July, it would not be as much product as moving in our industry right now. It's really selling a lot of guitars, comparatively speaking, considering to where you think we should be. It's a summer. Summer's usually slow. The market's definitely slow on. There's a lot of crazy things going on in the world. So you'd think that would have a more, more dire kind of vibe or feel, and I'm not really seeing that. There's definitely there is people wanting to move product though, because like I said, I've bought some deals, but I don't know. It's tough. What's interesting is, I'll tell you now, so you know, I'm going to be, as you guys know, I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling. One of the things I'm doing is I'm going to Sweetwater to interview Mike, the CEO of Sweetwater. So I'll be doing that. This is something that the patrons knew about for the last, month or so. But and that's probably one of the topics we'll talk about is the current market right now. So we're going to have a sit down and discuss things. Like I said, it'll be interesting. We'll see what he has to say. It'll be interesting. I think I already know kind of a couple things he might say, and I think those are going to be shocking to you. So, Volvith1 says, "Hey, sup, Phil? I've been following your channel since 2013. I wasn't around in 2013, but I understand that you would have to be following me on Facebook. I thought, yeah, but I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure my first video I ever, we moved it. So here's a funny thought. So the first videos I ever did were on Facebook, and they were essentially for friends and some friends, people I knew. And then we moved one to YouTube per a request from one of my friends because they could download video off YouTube, but not off Facebook. And we moved one. I thought it was January of 2014 is when we moved one. And then YouTube wasn't something I was tracking. So interesting enough, if you look at the very first year of YouTube that I was posting videos, those were not made for YouTube. They were made on Facebook, and we were moving them over. And I didn't even know there was numbers there. Like I didn't know, like, oh, they're getting views. I wasn't even sure to look. But anyways, back to this. Okay, so thank you for your knowledge and hard work. And he goes, I sent you a mail with a bad cab experience. Do you have similar stories? So if you guys send us an email to me, what happens is everything gets thrown in folders. So all the emails are thrown into a folder of a category. So we'll have like, retail issue, guitar issue, tech problem. And then I go through those folders and look for, I don't want to say titles, but look for, the subject line that makes like, oh, okay, well, that's okay. This is something interesting I think people will be interested in. So I haven't looked. But I will tell you that, and I just say this so you guys understand, have had people many times send us an email saying, hey, I saw you guys open the email, but you didn't respond. Every email is almost opened immediately because they're sorted immediately. So, but I don't necessarily get to read them. So I guess that's my problem is I don't know the specific cab experience. I can try and find it. I can't do it right now. It'd take too long. The amount of emails we get daily is insane still to this day. When I say insane, I don't think it's like thousands, but it's just too many to, I still take a whack at it every day for about an hour to an hour and a half. I used to do 2 to 3 hours a day, but right now it's like for the last couple of years, it just makes more sense to spend about an hour doing emails. After that, you just realize like you could lose your whole day to emails. And we learn now that we're better off and you're better off if we answer like in this format so that many people can see the question instead of getting a response to one person's question. So, but I will take a look at it and I'll see if I can pop it on next week's show. And I'm marking that right now so I can have it on my notes for later. Mr. S says, hey, favorite wireless guitar system for hobbyist cheers. So I don't do wireless. I have a wireless that's built into my THR30, the Yamaha THR30. I did buy the Boss wireless specifically because everybody kept asking me what wireless is. So I thought I'll buy the Boss one because I trust Boss. It's up on a shelf in the over there. I used it for a little while. I thought it was okay. It did not work for me. And here's why it did not work for me. I have too many wireless units going at any given time making content. And it was, I was getting some kind of digital interference and I didn't know if it was coming from the Boss wireless or if it was coming from my lapels or it's coming from, there are so many wireless units transmitting either through Bluetooth or through whatever, when I make videos that it just didn't work. And there's a lot of equipment that are sending signals. So, but I liked it okay. It sounded fine, and I didn't have any issues unless I was doing all that. So the Boss one, This is the one I like. Frank says, hey, which two would you, okay, let's try this. Two need to go. Which two would you choose? I'm having a hard time. Orange Trim Lord or the Twin Tone Master 71 or the Twin 65 Deluxe Reverb and or a Bad Cat Cub. Thanks. I mean, I'm a Fender guy, so I'm going to say Fender amps. The Bad Cat Cub is a great amp, that's for sure. And the Orange Trim Lord, I don't know if I played that amp. I played the Rocker Verb, which is a great amp, and I played a few other oranges. Just oranges and an amp that I have a whole lot of experience with. And so maybe, I don't know, I like my 65 Deluxe reissue. Isn't that funny? I know everybody likes vintage amps so much. I just don't like the headache that comes with sometimes with vintage amps. So sometimes it's just a, I don't know. So 65 Deluxe Reverb. I know that's a boring answer, but it's the one I'm going to go with. Joseph says, hey, is Gibson customer service step up over Gibson USA? It says CS, I assume. Is Gibson CS step up over Gibson USA? Oh, custom shop. Okay. Is the custom shop a step up over the Gibson USA, or is step up over mid-range Epiphone? I'm considering custom shop, but I really love my Gibson USA. Custom shop Gibson is their top of the line stuff in their pricing. So I would say it's the step up from Gibson USA for sure. Absolutely. And then this is from, I think it's Radhe, if I'm just phonetically doing it. Says, any recommendations on how to measure string gauge? Yeah, I use my calipers. I tried a caliper in the past, but it was not accurate. Yeah, it is. So it'll be accurate enough. You'll be able to. So how you measure string gauge with your caliper if you're having issues is, first of all, you're gonna have to do some guesstimates. Okay, so it's going to be pretty accurate. But what I would do is sometimes, like, let's say I caliper the high E string and it says 9. I go, okay, it's a 9, but I don't believe that yet. Then what I immediately do is I caliper the low E and it goes, 46. The odds of it being 9 to 46, which is a hybrid set, are very rare, okay? So more common to come across a 10 to 46 than a 9 to 46 set of strings. So I don't assume then that it is 10 to 46. I just go, okay, from that 9 to 46, I'm assuming it might be a 10 gauge set. And then what you do is you hit them all, and you really just need the caliper to go, oh, okay, the next one, the B string's a 13, right? Well, if that's a 13, it's probably 10, 13, 17, 26, 32, 46, or 36, 46, something like that. So you can do it, even if you're getting a little bit of variance. You just want to, what do you call it? Just do all the strings and then just kind of figure it out from there. That's the best way to do it. There is a chance, for instance, that they use some random strings, but you're not going to put those strings back on anyways. So you're going to, and what I'm trying to do when I'm trying to figure out what strings are on a guitar is trying to figure out what strings I'm replacing with. So if they were using 10 to 46, I want to go 10 to 46. If they're 9 to 42s, I want to go 9 to 42s. And then good music is good, says my latest strings are 9.5 to 45, and it's such a great compromise between 9s and 10s. So same thing, right? That's great for your personal taste, but like I said, in most cases, if you're just trying to figure out what strings are on there, like I said, just do all the strings, and then from what you read on all the strings, it'll kind of tell you the story. That's the best way to put it. And the caliper is actually accurate. It's just your hand's not your hand moves. I was watching a friend of mine the other day, and they were cocking the caliper a little bit. I'm like, no, it's very important to keep your caliper specifically straight when you're doing this, because if you turn it just even so much, you'll get the measurement will be off. So, but that's what I do, and that's how I do it. And I've never had a problem that I can remember with just taking the all the strings and then figuring out from there. Arnis says, hey, Phil, love the show. Can you tell me about those Marshall amps behind you? Yeah, no, it's my 26. Yeah, hold on a second. And specifically the smaller one. Is it possible to use home volume? Yeah. So Arnis, the video, this is a 1974X, and I have a video on that. It's called The Other Great Marshall Sound. That video is a couple weeks old, so if you want to watch that. That's a 1974X, hand-wired 18-watt Marshall. It's kind of different with a tremolo in it, and this is a 2061 Marshall 20-watt head with a 212 cabinet, which is great because some people, because the cabinet kind of looks like a 412, so then you think this amp's really huge. It's not small, but it's not much bigger than that Benson if you look at it for scale. You can see it's not much bigger. They're just, to me, like an iconic set of Marshalls. And I've had the 2061 forever, and the 212 2061X cabinet forever. And I reached out to Sweetwater and I said, hey, I think I want to do a video. I think I want to get a 1974X. Is there any interest in helping sponsor or co-sponsor the video so I can make the video? Because I think it'll be a cool video. And, you know, I just, like, as you guys know, I really like my Friedmans and I really like my Magnetone. Like, I really like my Magnetone a lot. But there's just something about Marshalls. There's just something about the way they look, right? I mean, come on, look at that. Isn't that just, man, I have to admit, I usually don't stage the room for you guys. I don't really like kind of like, oh, but today was a little bit like a Jazzmaster, a Les Paul, the ES39, a 60 Strat, the Marshalls. Like, I just thought that, like, I just thought that looked great. There's just something, I don't know. Like I said, romance. I love it. Just looking at it. Okay. Let's see. Amanda's been sending me stuff. So is Chris. I'm going to grab this. Okay. Frank says, what's the dumbest thing you've ever done on YouTube? Have you half the stuff? I wish I had. This is one of those things like where you're like, oh, let me tell you, it was so easy. I've done a lot of dumb stuff on YouTube. I don't know if it's dumb like a haha funny story, but I can tell you what you do when you start out, or when you're doing it for a little while as you start out. You feel this need to make content. So you're like, what? I'm going to make content. Like, and so I would make videos that I don't know why I made them to this day. I just went like, I need a video, and what's a video idea? I should do a video on this. And I know you're probably like, what's the example? You know, what's funny is I'll tell you again, I think instead of like telling you a video, a quick little recap story. When I was invited out to Thomann, they invited me out to go to Gearhead University. And as you guys remember, when all those Gearhead Universities, all that stuff came out, all these things where all these YouTubers congregated, I'm really big into trying stuff. So I was like, I'm not familiar what this is, but I love the fact that, you know, if I go, somebody's going to have an opinion about it, but it's a lot easier for me to go, well, I was there and this is what happened, right? So like I said, I've went to all these events like once. I've never really gone to an event 2 times, really, because I don't really need to, because once I experienced it, I kind of experienced it. And so Gearhead University, so Thoman's like, come here and make videos. So what happens when I go to these events, and I kind of shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. When I say that, because I think it's giving away secret sauce. I write treatments. I write ideas for videos. So before I go anywhere, I go, oh, here's some video ideas I think will be great. So, so you can hear the hesitation in my voice because I don't want to say it. And I pretty much know if I'm going to have like a 500,000 or 1 million view video. I've never had a video that did 1 million views or 500,000 views or 250,000 views that I didn't know already was going to have that video. In fact, I keep a little folder of videos that I think all are 250,000 view videos. And then I parcel them out over time. Does it make sense? To keep the channel going. It's just, look, I wish I had one every week. I just don't. I don't have that kind of, but I come up with ideas. So And when I go to these events, I kind of go, oh, I'm going to make this video and it's going to be huge. So of course, the last time I went to Sweetwater, I had a video that did over 500,000 views. Last time when I went to Thomann, I had a video that did 1 million views. In fact, every event you ever see me go to, I have a video. And the reason I do that is to pay for the cost of going. So a lot of these times, these companies will pay your airfare, or sometimes they'll pay your hotel. Sometimes depends on your hierarchy of your channel, but there's always costs. There's just tons of costs. So you go, well, I want to go and I want to make content, but you want to have a video that does well enough that pays the overhead of going. And so I went to Thomann and I had the $1 million video idea, million view video idea. And I went and I did that video and I did a couple other videos that I thought were cool, like 2. And then I did that in the first 2 days of being at Thomann, but they make you go for like a week. All these places, they want you to go for days. And so I sat around and I was like, and people there were like, hey man, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. And they're looking at you like, you're being lazy. And I'm like, but they don't understand. Like, I already know in my head, I'm like, look, I'm going to put out 2 videos and one will get 1 million and one will get like 500,000. Right. So I already know I did my banger videos and everything's good. And so what happened is, what happened with Thomann is I felt the pressure. It wasn't necessarily anything they did or said, but I felt the pressure to like, you need to keep making content. But I already did what I set out to do. I did the videos that I thought were going to be huge. So then I just started making up stupid videos. So I made a video of like, who's Harley Benton? And I made that video, and that's not even out anymore. I took it down. And I made that video because I was like, I needed something to do. And then I did a review of a amp that I was like, why am I doing this amp? I don't even care. And I already made the video. So, so that's why I said so that was, I don't know if it's the dumbest thing, but that's kind of some of the dumb things you do on YouTube, if that makes any sense. So I don't know. I guess the reason I keep some of that close to the chest, as you can imagine, this is what I do for a living. And I could go through and show you guys one day, if you ever want to have ever curious, I can show you how every video that's ever done well, I can actually show you the notes and how it was like, this is going to do right because this is why I'm doing this video. Also, you also notice most of my biggest viewed videos are always in the summer. It's because the channel suffers over the summer. So I always launch one big banger video every summer. So if you go back in my history of my channel, you'll see almost every June and July is the one big video of the year, which is stupid because the ad rates are the lowest, but it's also how I keep the channel volume up and not have to listen to YouTube tell me how my channel is underperforming because no one's watching during the summer. I don't know. Stupid YouTube stuff. Okay. Let's go to another one. This is from Amanda too. It says, Bubbly Juice says, hey Phil, is it any better or worse if your viewers are YouTube premium members or not? Wondering if any of the subscription costs are passed on the channel. Sure. On a like I always tell you with affiliate links or clicks or thumbs ups or comments or views, never, as much as I appreciate you guys asking that, like, hey, I made sure the video played to the end. I appreciate all that stuff, but the system is a system of pennies for thousands of views, and so you'll never really move the needle no matter how much you try, even collectively as a group. So don't stress it that way. I appreciate the sentiment, and just like I said, if you like content, like it. The one thing I will tell you is, as someone who put disclosures on my videos, product was provided, this is an independent video, before YouTube even made it a thing. The whole theory behind that was, I was wrong, but the theory for me at the time was, when you saw independent content, you would embrace it harder, and then therefore it would do better. And because it would do better, it would drive me to do more independent content, or creators, right? And what I've kind of learned now is you watch good stuff. People just generally watch whatever's interesting or good. It doesn't matter if it was paid for or if it wasn't paid for. They're going to say whatever in the comments right now. It depends on who you want to listen to. Some random person who's got a theory about how it works, or someone who's got almost 500 million views, right? Okay. So, nothing matters. If it's good, it's good, and it goes, and it doesn't matter why. And if it's not good, it doesn't go, and it doesn't matter if somebody paid for it, sponsored it, didn't matter. But I still like the disclosure, and obviously back then, and I still disclose now because now you have to, but I was doing it back then. But to your answer, Bubbly Juice, what happens? Yes, if you have YouTube Premium, if you pay for YouTube, they do pay you when you watch the video. So I get paid too. I don't know if I get paid less or more at all. I have no concept of it. I haven't done any research. I don't, it doesn't allude to me any different, but if I paid attention to all the little things, like I said, I make money like all YouTubers in pennies. So if you start paying attention, you're just paying attention to pennies all day. It's emotionally a weird thing to do. Steve-O says, hey, Phil, do you have a birth year guitar? Mine is a 1977. They ain't coming in cheap, man. Especially, I still can't play jack crap. LOL. I don't have a birth year guitar. And I don't really have a desire for one. And I don't know why. I told you guys, like, it's just not something that's not... My big thing was the Steve Vai Universe, and I think the reason is, and I've said this before, the Steve Vai Universe, it's not about the album, it's not about Steve Vai. It's about when I walked in a music store for the first time. I just started playing guitar. I was just getting into it. It's like, imagine if you're at the beginning of your guitar journey, or if you've been doing it a long time like me. Everything is new and everything is exciting. And you have moments where you hear a solo for the first time. You're like, wow, that's great. Or see a band or see a guitar. And there's all these first moments. And to me, when I went into the music store and I saw the Steve Vai Universe, I remember, like, I'd never seen a 7-string before because no one really had seen one, but especially like in person, or you just never saw it. And it would be probably different if I'd been playing for 10 years or 5 years and I could actually play. At that point, I was still trying to hold down just basic chords and basic playing for the most part. And to see this, I was like, I can't even figure out 6. Some guys played 7. This is crazy. Like, to me, it was just crazy. And it really stuck with me as like this iconic thing of being like, the one better guitar, kind of like it's kind of like the 7-string to me was kind of like the Spinal Tap of guitars. Oh, well, you have 6 strings? Well, this is one more string. This is 7. And I just thought the guitar looked cool. And so that was kind of my holy grail to get. And as you guys know, my wife bought that for me last year for my anniversary. And I'll tell you what I learned from that. It's a beautiful work of art is what it is. It's a work of art, and it's a cool guitar. And I don't regret it, but I don't think I was missing anything, if that makes any sense. So this is from Will, who says, hey, Phil, here's something for your tone jar. I recently bought I think it's a Bohem backwing, Firebird style with Bigsby. And have you ever checked out this brand? I'm based in Europe, and they're everywhere on social media. No, what? That sounds familiar. B-A-U-M, Bohem. I think that's Baum. I don't know how you're saying it, but I have not. So I will. Should we do this right now? Oh, if I can get out of this. I'm trying to pen this. Maybe that'll work. Nope. Huh. Now I'm stuck in this. This is so... I just wanted to pen your comment in. All right. It's thinking. While it's thinking, I'll do this. Okay. We have... Will says, hey, here's something... Oh, we did that. This is from Litve. He says, hey, greetings from South Korea. We'll hit up a few guitar shops. Know of any local brands of World or others like Peerless I should be looking out for? I don't. I'm really not familiar with that. The brands that are built by World that are exclusive to South Korea. nothing that I know of personally. So I'm no help there. I've heard different stories. I've heard that you can get the guitars dirt cheap there, and so it's great to take them back. And I've heard that they're more expensive there, so it's not worth it. I've heard that the cool ones, they won't say the cool ones, but I don't know much about it. As I said, I'm curious to see, what happens with the Cortec factory, to see what I see. That'll be really cool. Okay. And then, okay, let's button it up. Okay, so no more super chats. I appreciate all of them, but we're going to button it up. I'm just going to make sure I don't think I missed any, but if I did, I'll scoop it for next week. I'm going to do, okay. Okay. Hold on. I'm just reading some. Okay. So this one, we have one more subject topic. And this one is, I don't know. Hold on. I'm trying to find one last cool, like maybe something we haven't touched on. And I don't see. Let me get out of this. Since I lost the feed, there's the feedback. Okay, good. We're back to normal. Romario says, "Hey, Phil, have you had any conversation with Kaler about collaborating?" I believe what I was told. So like I said, I don't deal with companies. I don't talk to them. It's just how I like to do business now. It's been that way for a long time. So Shauna handles that stuff. I believe Kaler was on a list that she was talking to, and she gives me the updates, like, cause she has to pass through like, hey, this is what they're asking for. And I thought she reached out, and she didn't reach out. She told me that Kaler was interested in me doing a video on some kind of new bridge. And she told him that she wanted, that it obviously would take me a week to get, it's a week's worth of work. Look, when there's new product, what I call unproven, untested product, doesn't matter who the brand is, something new, something we haven't seen, I got to, before I can say, hey, everybody go out around and spend your money and buy this thing, I got to put it through its paces, make sure. Every company tells me the same stuff. Every company's like, oh, it's the best, and everybody loves it, and we spent years. Everybody, like, it's not a slam against any company, but you can imagine the companies that do the worst lie the most. So it's like, and then the companies that aren't lying, they get kind of in that mix because everybody's saying it's all noise to you. It's all, hey, check this out, it's great. Meanwhile, like on a retrospect, just think about this. I told you guys a couple of weeks ago that I have a video coming out about a flaw on a guitar and stuff, but the video didn't come out. If you notice, that's because I'm actually working with that company now, and I'm gonna be dealing with some stuff. Right? So, because that's a better outcome for everyone, instead of me outing the, hey, here's a potential problem, to, hey, here's how they seen it, they recognized it, or they recognized and we're gonna deal with it. But that's a lot of work, right? I mean, it'd be a lot easier for me to make the video and put it out than spend the next, the last 2 weeks, working it out with the company. But that's the importance, to make sure it's done right. So back to this, I think the way it was presented to me, she was like, yeah, it's going to take you a full week, because she specs my calendar so I can get stuff done. And the problem I have is if something takes 4 or 5 days, then that's the only video I can make that entire week, period. I can't do anything else. And keep in mind, I also do a weekly guitar clinic. I do a monthly bonus podcast, and I do 2 hangs with my top tier patrons with coffee, which is 2 hours each, or 2.5 hours each. And that's on my schedule too, on top of all this. And that's the fun, this podcast that you guys are enjoying. That's the stuff I do for the patrons to fund the podcast. So it's, you got to figure out your time schedule. So I believe what happened, she told him, look, this is what it would cost to do that. And then I think they either didn't respond. Sadly enough, I don't know the answer, so I don't want to say. I'll say they didn't respond. They might have said no, but I thought they didn't respond. And that was the end of that. So, like I said, if it was one thing, if it was like, hey, we want to check out a bridge that you've seen before, check out something. But whenever anything's new, we definitely got to put it through its paces and make sure. And the reason I do that is because no matter what I do and say, even if I say, hey, this thing sucks, you guys all take it as an endorsement. I don't know what to do about that. It's just part of YouTube. It's part of the world we live in. So think about this. Perfect example, and I mean this, just so you guys understand. So you have I've never done an XVive video. XVive is like a wireless company, makes all kinds of products. I've never done any of their products. I've never found anything that I found particularly interesting about their products for me personally. And there was just nothing about any of their particular products that I, wanted to showcase on the channel. And one of my good friends came to me once and told me, hey, I bought one of those XVive wirelesses you recommended and it crapped out on me. And I go, yeah, I've never done a video of them. And he goes, yeah, you did. You did a video and you said it was like the best wireless ever. And I'm like, I have never talked about that product company at all. In fact, I've said no to them for 6 years straight. And I haven't been interested in doing any of their products because I hear things like that they have issues with quality. And I didn't want to, have to spend all that time to put it through the pace to find out. And then, see? And it's because he confused me with the YouTube channel. So that's what I said. Sometimes it's, so that's why I said, I still do videos of stuff I don't like, but I understand that no matter how, even if I'm out there telling you guys like, this doesn't work, or I don't like this, in a year from now, everybody still just remember, they think I just hyped it. They think, oh yeah, I remember you said it was great. I'm like, no, I remember I said it didn't work. So products have to be tested. So that's my answer. And we get a lot of that with companies. We get a lot of, like I told you, small companies that reach out and mid-sized companies, and they're like, hey, and it's why I do some consulting on the side to help smaller companies. It's not something I'm really eager to do or want to do so much, but I do it because sometimes, like with Kaler's perfect example, is companies will reach out and they'll suggest something to you. So we'll say, hey, this is what it's going to cost to do this. And it's because they don't know, like, look, you either have to take some of the burden off me, and so we could figure out a mutual way to work together, or you got to pay for the time that you're taking. But in my experience, and I believe, and this is just so you guys know, with the Kaler thing, I had done videos. I'd worked with Kaler before, or the person who runs Kaler, I've worked with them before, and we did it for charity. And I do a lot of stuff for charity. So if a company reaches out and says, hey, we want you to work with you, but we don't have really a budget, I'm like, well, we'll donate to charity, right? We'll do something charity-wise. So sometimes I'll throw that as an option, because at least, like I said, this is my joke, and I think it confuses some of you, some of the people that are not in the United States. My statement is, I don't work for free unless you're a 501c. For those that don't know, 501c is a tax classification for a charity. So in other words, if I don't want to work for a $1 billion company or a $1 million company for free so that they can sell product, but if they want to donate money to charity, I'll work for the charity. That's a noble thing to do. I make content for you, and a charity gets money. I'll do that. I'll work for that. But when a company reaches out and they, if it's not a video that you guys are absolutely begging for, or I think it's going to be a great video because you guys want it, doesn't make sense. Okay. I think we get too hammered onto these YouTube questions. So we stick to guitar stuff. Let's finish up the show with a guitar thing. So, anyone got a guitar question when we get in with? So we can start the weekend with guitar stuff. Let's do this one. It's easy. This is an easy one. This one says, hey, I have a pickup selector that cuts out. Do I have to use deoxit, or can I just use standard contact cleaner spray that has no lubricant in it? I mean, you could use a contact cleaner spray that doesn't have lubricant in it. It's fine. That's not really the issue. And with the problem with your selector switch, so you said you have a pickup selector switch. So let's talk about this. First, you didn't say if it was a blade or if it was just a regular toggle switch. So let's start with this. The toggle switch, just cleaning out the switch is important, because I have videos showing this, that basically there's usually a nylon ball, plastic ball, and it pushes the two pieces of metal apart so that they don't make connections anymore. So you don't really need to lubricate that. That's not, in fact, lubrication can actually make that sometimes worse because the little ball slips off, and that makes sense if you saw the video. So that's a 3-way switch, not a big deal. The 5-way switches, the problem you have is one's a PC board based switch and one's like a mechanical switch, is like how I like to explain it. So cleaning the PC board switches doesn't always work because, again, one of the things that happens in there, they get bent up because they're really soft. The metal's all soft. Everything's easy to bend. It's plastic, a lot of stuff in there. So what I would suggest sometimes, and I mean this, you got to be very delicate when you're dealing with a 5-way switch and you're having issues with it cutting out. Before you clean it, just wiggle it side to side ever so gently to see if that fixes it. And that'll tell you that something's making contact that wasn't making contact. And then that's not a clean issue. That's you've bent it. It's been damaged. But you can use contact cleaner. I would use for years just contact cleaner I bought at AutoZone because it was way cheaper than deoxit. And deoxit just wasn't. The main reason, and I've said this before, main reason I use like StewMac tools or deoxit or higher end tools, more expensive stuff, is because majority of my work on guitars is for customers. And so I'm not trying to find the least expensive solution for a customer. I'm trying to give them premium service so they pay me well. So you absolutely, if you're doing the work for yourself on your own stuff, please fill the way. And he says it's a 3-way switch. So 3-way. So again, is it a blade switch or is it a toggle switch? So either way, you can shoot some contact cleaner in there. It's not going to hurt anything at all. So Teledriver says, hey, contact cleaner is not plastic safe. Be careful. Sometimes it's not. So, sometimes that's why it depends. When we talk about switches in particular, there's different components that are in them. So you can imagine, like, for instance, the 3-way switch, which I don't have one here. Sometimes I do, but I don't have one here. I've noticed that sometimes the manufacturer uses, like I said, a nylon material. So it's nylon, like a plastic nylon that's really durable and takes a beating. And then sometimes they use a cheap plastic and you can just tell. So it depends. Again, it depends. But and then Average Joe says, deoxit green is good for most things. I use deoxit green as well too. I've never had any problems with deoxit, so you know. I've never used deoxit on anything and went, crap, or had an adverse problem later. Now, keep in mind, I don't work on amps. I only work on guitars, all guitar related. I've never damaged any guitar with deoxit ever. There are a bunch of things that have never happened to me. 20 years working on guitars and basses, never damaged anything with deoxit, never damaged anything with steel wool. Like, there's a lot of people that that will tell you on the internet, like the comment section, they're cautioning you about certain things. They probably had a bad experience. I always try to point this out. I'm not more correct or more right than anyone who's giving information on the internet. That's not what I'm trying to say. My way is that, like, listen to me, I'm smart and you're not smart. But I will tell you to caution yourself, all of you, and we all should be like this, that when an answer is given, like I give an answer, it's usually based on like 50 things. Like, for instance, let's say you said, hey, Phil, you ever had a cold solder joint from this experience? And I go, well, I've done 1,000 and I never had that problem. Somebody goes, well, I did it and I had a problem. I'm like, well, how many times did you do it? One time? Well, what if I said I had the problem 1 in 1,000? Is that something I should caution you about? So that's what I'm saying. A lot of times when I'm talking about stuff, if you notice, I reframe if I haven't done a lot, but a lot of times I've done so many things for so many of those things so many times, especially the habitual like setups, electronics work. A lot of the problems people talk about, yeah, it's possible, but it's just not common. It's just not. It's just, you're not going to see it on, if you do it once or twice, it's not going to be a problem. So, okay, I think we did it. I hope everybody had a good time. I told you guys I'd do some announcements at the end of the show. I basically kind of gave it away. I'm going to be going to Sweetwater. I'm going to be going to Cortec in Indonesia. That's very exciting. I'm actually most excited about that. I have another trip that's not disclosed. I can't disclose yet, but it's in September. I'm very excited about that. That it will be great content as well. And what else? And then obviously last week when I said it rhymes with PRS, you guys realized it was the PRS SE53 guitar. So this week, what do I have on the schedule? I don't know what I have on the schedule. Nothing that's like, I have no products that I can't tell you about. So everything I have is coming out. It's pretty cool. We have some Epiphones. I have a Squire coming video. I have what else? A Martin guitar video. I have 2 amp videos coming, a pedal video. So some good stuff. And there's a guitar I know I'm like thinking it's in the rack and I'm just can't think of what it is, but it's not because like I said, it's not that it's embargoed or anything. I just can't remember what it is. All right, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. And what else? That's it. You guys have an amazing weekend. Go play some guitar, have some fun, and I'll see you next week. As always, thank you for your time. Know your gear. If you're learning something or having a good time, don't forget you can subscribe for free and help this channel. Or for $10 a month, you can join me on Patreon for live clinics where you can ask questions every single week.